Nations Secretary Generals Unite by 2030 initiative supports the 16 days of activism against GBV campaign for global action to increase awareness through advocacy, sharing knowledge and innovations to help end all types of violence against women and girls. The theme for this year's campaign is Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women and Girls. Your Excellency, GBV has become a pandemic that is threatening the fabric of our society. It is a time to call upon all our national structures to play a part to ensure the safety of women and girls in our society. We witness a surge in what is alleged to be ritual murders. The majority of victims are women, and these incidents should not go unchecked. It is therefore important that our traditional leaders, who are custodians of our culture, should engage our communities with a view to get to the root cause of the alleged ritual murders. These incidents may be encouraged by our belief system, hence the need for intervention. Bopeu is ready to play a part in any way, in any national initiative geared towards the safety of our people in general, women and children in particular. Your Excellency, comrades, delegates, we are convened today under the theme Strengthening Union Capacity Towards Decent Work and a Just Transition. As a progressive and member-centric union, we found it fit to dedicate this year's CEC towards strengthening our capacity as a union in order to realize and achieve decent work and a just transition. Comrades and delegates, we cannot effectively represent the interests of our members if the union is not capacitated and strengthened. By strengthening union capacity, we must focus in rebuilding our union from the grassroots to the leadership. This exercise should not be cosmetic or a box-ticking exercise. It must be a comprehensive and substantive exercise which aims at rebuilding and consolidating the gains we have made since the formation of our glorious union. To strengthen our union, we must commit ourselves to the renewal of our union. As members of Bopeu, we must all commit ourselves to the project of rebuilding and renewal. This is a starting point to strengthen our capacity. Comrades and delegates, once our union capacity is strengthened, we will become attractive to new members and we will grow in leaps and bounds. Our potential to become the largest union in Botswana in terms of numerical strength lies on the strength of our capacity to offer better services to members. We must play a pivotal role in the lives of our members as a whole. Most importantly, we will achieve membership retention if we strengthen our capacity to deliver services and representation efficiently, promptly, and effectively. As Bopeu members, we must make it a priority to strengthen the union from our workplaces going up. A solid foundation is a prerequisite towards strengthening our union, and that foundation is the shop floor. As delegates and shop stewards, know your workplace members, know your branch members, know and appreciate their challenges in the workplace, and be the first point of contact to intervene where it is necessary. Strengthening union capacity starts with the presence of our shop stewards to attend to and service our members at the workplace. It is through regular contact with our members at the workplace that we can achieve and realize decent work. If we are not in contact with our members at the workplace, we would not appreciate the working conditions of our members. We need to ensure that our members work in conducive and user-friendly environments. Comrade delegates, my message to you this year is very simple: ensure presence, visibility, and impact of Bopeu at your workplaces. Let our members and the employer feel our presence at the workplace. The State of the Union, comrades, delegates, and leaders, I now wish to give you appraisal of the State of the Union since we met last year. I give the State of the Union in order to be accountable to you as delegates and members of Bopeu. It is the Nigerian-born Sunday Alejaga who teaches us that, and I quote, "Where there is no accountability, there will also be no responsibility." So I need to account to show my responsibility. When you successively entrusted us with your votes to lead Bopeu, we promise you transparency, accountability, and the restoration of the values and ethos of Bopeu. We promise you that we will abide by the Constitution of Bopeu as a compass for our leadership. We promise you that we will calm the waters and restore Bopeu to its glorious past. You will recall, delegates, that when we were elected 2 years back, we inherited a union in a turmoil, a union that was at war with itself, a union which was on the brink of collapse. I am pleased to report to you that the storm has passed. The waters are calm. Thank you. And the mighty Bopeu is stable, united, focused on its historic mission and objectives. For the past 12 months, the union has enjoyed absolute stability and peace. As members, we have not heard of any acrimony and toxic factionalism in the leadership of the union. Our collective members, structures, and leaders have demonstrated a high level of restraint and political maturity in their engagement on the contentious issues affecting our union. The wounds of the past have healed, and I'm certain that we have all learned valuable lessons from the recent painful history we all know of. You must applaud yourselves as members of Bopeu for this maximum discipline and unity. Our debates, no matter how emotive and sensitive, have been conducted internally and with decorum. For the past 12 months, members of Bopeu have conducted themselves in a manner that is expected from a 21st century modern-day trade union. I'm happy to report that all constitutional structures of Bopeu are functional and operating as expected, notwithstanding the challenges of funding some of their activities. Members will recall that the current leadership inherited a debt-ridden organization with a backlog of unserviced obligations. This affected some activities of our structures. Your Excellency, comrades and delegates, in order to position Bopeu as a dynamic and transformational union, we continue to retain and employ qualified and highly motivated personnel to motivate. We continue to retain and employ qualified and highly motivated personnel to service our members. Our staff comprises of the best brains and are continuously trained in their professional fields, as well as critical aspects of service delivery, such as customer service and corporate governance. What inspires us the most is that most of the union staff are young professionals who possess the right energy and passion. Your Excellency, Bopeu boasts of a staff complement of over 50 degree holders. We have contributed quite significantly in creation of employment opportunities. As leaders, it is our duty to continually mold, guide, and develop these young professionals in order to extract optimal performance and delivery from them. Comrades and delegates, we cannot talk of strengthening union capacity if we do not commit to mindset change as a necessary precondition to transform growth and progress. We must embrace new ideas and new methods in growing our union and strengthening its capacity to deliver on its historic aims and objectives. As trade unionists, we must guard against dogmatism and clinging to old traditions that are not consistent with the modern world. As a union, we must embrace the fourth industrial revolution and incorporate technology in our systems and processes. Dogmatism is not revolutionary, comrades. Embrace change and grow in leaps and bounds. We must change. In an endeavor to professionalize and transform our mighty union, the leadership has undertaken various trainings in corporate governance. In our view, the leadership and indeed all structures must be equipped with the necessary skills to aid them in the discharge of their duties. We must continuously learn and develop our capacity. Corporate governance is critical in strengthening union capacity. Corporate governance is a key governance tool to ensure that the union complies with international best standards in the conduct of its meetings and affairs. It is through corporate governance that internal checks and balances are put in place and integrated into our systems and processes. To achieve ethical, transparent, and accountable leadership, we must all commit to the principles of corporate governance. I therefore encourage all union structures and leaders to familiarize themselves with the principles of corporate governance: accountability, honesty, time management, and all others. Comrades, delegates, we must accept that we will not be workers forever. Someday, all of us here will retire and go back to our villages and places of retirement. The majority of our members are over the age of 40. We must pause and ask ourselves, as a union, do we have systems in place to psychologically prepare our members for retirement? Do we have any support system for our members who are on the verge of retirement? As a union, we must not only care about our members when they are still employed, we must care for them during post-employment. This is what is expected from a revolutionary and a progressive union such as Bopeu. We must prepare our members for life after employment to avoid a situation where our members fall into the trap of poverty during retirement. Let us change. Collective bargaining and industrial relations, I would like to address it. Your Excellency, comrades, you will agree with me that collective bargaining is the nerve center of any trade union. Collective bargaining and industrial relations are the oxygen that gives life to a trade union. As the leadership, we continue to jealously protect our right to collective bargaining. We consistently engage with the employer party on various issues of mutual concern for the benefit of our members. In our analysis, the overall collective bargaining and industrial relations climate in Botswana is improving gradually. We need to appreciate, though not all is rosy, but at least we are moving in the right direction. Comrade delegates, however, Bopeu deeply regrets and condemns the delay to execute the Public Service Bargaining Council. The delay is simply unacceptable and has the potential to undermine the progress made in terms of restoring the good industrial relations climate between government and trade unions. Your Excellency, Bopeu calls for your intervention in this matter. The trade union party has done our part. Bopeu Bopeu has done a part, we request for your intervention. In our analysis, the deadlock requires the intervention of the highest office in the land. Your Excellency, the non-functionality of the bargaining council inflicts deep wounds on the workers, hence our urgent prayer on your esteemed intervention. As Bopeu will support all efforts to resuscitate bargaining structures with the employer part, we are committed to join hands. Your Excellency, we know that there are still pockets of resistance, especially the state-owned enterprises who still believe that they are doing us a favor to bargain and engage with us in good faith. I must be categoric, comrades, and state this concern boldly and loudly. Good faith bargaining is not a favor extended to the union. It is our right under the law. We must therefore defend collective bargaining with all our might as a union and request employers to commit to good bargaining, good faith bargaining. Our relations with our stakeholders, Your Excellency, comrades, distinguished guests, and delegates, Bopeu does not exist in isolation or in a vacuum. As such, we continue to coexist peacefully and other trade unions locally, and there has been peace and harmony between Bopeu and other sister unions in Botswana. And that is a testimony, as you have seen, for BTU, Bobelau, Bobusetu, and others. Thank you very much, comrades. As trade unions, there are areas we agree, cooperate, and tackle common issues together. There are areas where we respectively disagree because we represent different constituencies, and some represent sexual workers while others, such as Bopeu, represent a diverse constituency. It is only natural that we cannot always agree or have the same perspective as trade unions. What is important is that we engage each other with cordiality and mutual respect. As a policy of our union, Bopeu is friend to all and an enemy to none. We don't hate anyone, we are friend to all. Comrades, delegates, we are pleased to announce that the good relations that exist between trade unions and the employer party continues to bear fruits for workers. On the 23rd of November 2023, DPSM, after that lengthy engagement, issued a directive number 8 of 2023 approving the sale of pool houses to sitting tenants. I would like to urge you, comrades, to utilize that dispensation. Please utilize that dispensation. Go and read the guidelines, familiarize yourselves with the guidelines, put everything in place, and when applications commence, please do so. We applaud DPSM and government for this progressive decision, which will positively change the lives of our members. We can only achieve this historic milestone if the union talks to the employer in an atmosphere of mutual respect and cordiality. If we shout at each other, we will not agree on anything, and our members will suffer the most. We are inspired by Rumi when he said, raise your voice, not your voice. It is the rain that grows flowers and not thunder. Raise your voice and not a voice. Start with no driver point there happen for us. As the leadership of Bopeu, we will continue raising our waves and not our voice, and constructively engage with the employer party. Rain bears positive results, while thunder is destructive. Your Excellency, comrades, I would like to address the issue which is a burning platform, the non-implementation of court orders and arbitration awards. Your Excellency, comrade delegates and invited guests, we still have a challenge of non-implementation of court orders and arbitration awards granted in favor of our members. To date, many of our members in the C-band salary have not been paid, despite court orders having directed that they be paid. We note that despite the court orders and the availability of funds to finance these payments, there are still ministries which have not implemented court orders. We are aware that there is a budget reserved for payment of these arrears. It is disheartening that some ministries have elected not to effect payments, and we are approaching end of the financial year in 3 months' time. It is with regret that the Ministry of Health remains one of the most problematic ministries in terms of implementing court orders and arbitration awards. The non-implementation of court orders and arbitration awards does not only undermine the rule of law, but also demoralize workers in the workplace and results in poor performance and poor service delivery. This is more worrying in ministries that provide essential services such as Ministry of Health. In many occasions, Bopeu is compelled to institute contempt proceedings in order to enforce court orders and arbitration awards. And these litigations does not come cheap for a non-profit making entity such as ours. Ignoring court orders and arbitration award is unacceptable in a constitutional democracy where the rule of law is non-negotiable. Your Excellency, we plead for intervention, for your intervention. Cadre development and training, I would like to talk about this issue. Comrades, delegates, in order to reposition Bopeu as a modern, dynamic and responsive union, we have invested in cadre development and membership training through our partnership with our very own Institute of Labor and Employment Studies. Through the college, Bopeu continues to invest on the quality of its membership and cadres. In the formative years, Bopeu focused on its quantitative growth through recruitment drives. In the process of focusing in our quantitative growth, we compromise our quality growth of our membership. Going forward, we cannot avoid to invest in quality growth, and we can only realize that through a deliberate and intensive educational program that equips our members and shop stewards with the proper skills. In order to strengthen our union capacity to achieve decent work and a just transition, we must focus on quality growth simultaneously with quantitative growth. As a union, we must boost of well-trained, ideologically oriented cadres who are well-rounded up to tackle any challenge at the workplace. As a union, we must invest in the training of our members and shop stewards. The training of our members and shop stewards must be non-negotiable if we are serious about strengthening union capacity. Comrades and delegates, I am delighted to report that of late, government ministries and departments have started to utilize the services of ELS to train their management teams in short courses on disciplinary hearings and retirement planning. This is a welcome development towards the attainment of industrial peace and harmony. Further, ELS is now recognized by the ILO and is often engaged by the ILO to conduct research and trainings on labor matters. Femicide, GBV, and other social ills. Your Excellency, comrades, delegates, Bopeu is deeply concerned by the increasing incidence of femicide, GBV, and domestic violence in our country. Women and the girl child in particular are not safe in our country. Comrades, we must defeat femicide and GBV. It has no place in our society. To strengthen our union capacity, we have to create a safe union for our women to ensure their full participation in all union activities. The statistics for rape, GBV, and domestic abuse are too embarrassing to quote. To all the men of Bopeu, protect women and children. Comrades, never raise your hand against a woman or anyone for that matter. Be protectors and providers. Your Excellency, comrades, distinguished guests, recent reports indicated that there's a surge in the HIV infections in the country. This is concerning comrades. As a union, we must take a leading role in the fight to defeat HIV/AIDS. The worker struggle we are undertaking requires us to be healthy and fit for purpose. It is the duty of all of us here to take responsibility of our actions and minimize the infection rate in our country. Most importantly, comrades, we must defeat stigmatization of those living with HIV/AIDS and disabilities. Trade unionists are loving, caring, and compassionate. Let us love and support others. In our view, comrades, abject poverty and lack of economic opportunities for the youth are also social ills that are beleaguering our nation. Access to food, shelter, and economic opportunities are fundamental human rights. In our assessment, abject poverty and unemployment are a breeding ground for other social ills such as drug abuse, crime, and radicalization of our youth. We call on both government and the private sector to intensify efforts to job creation and economic opportunities. On this note, Bopeu commends government for its noble efforts in realizing economic inclusion. We are pleased by the deliberate government policy to protect local vegetable producers. We are here to This policy has not only opened economic opportunities for locals, it is a building block towards realizing food security for our country. Further, we applaud government for its historic achievement in the DBS New Deal, which is more beneficial to our country as compared to previous agreements. Through the New Deal, the government has preserved our sovereignty as a people. Our people must benefit for the mineral wealth of their country. Your Excellency, as a union, we want to see the tangible results of the new DBS deal in the lives of workers of this country. We want the trickle-down effect of the new deal to be visible in the lives of our members in Botswana in general. We want the new deal to close the economic gap that exists between the rich and the poor. We want the new DBS deal to have a positive effect on public services such as health and education. Going to the most critical one, the 2024 general election registration exercise. Your Excellency, comrades, delegates, and distinguished guests, Bopeu does not exist in isolation or in a vacuum. We exist in a constitutional democracy. The forefathers of Bopeu and Botswana Civil Servants Association were the architects of our constitutional democracy. Comrades and delegates, Bopeu is deeply concerned by the delay in the registration to vote in the 2024 general elections. We are aware that some political party has exercised its right to sue the IEC over the registration exercise. As a union, we do not have a problem with any political party exercising its rights to approach courts of law for redress. The ongoing litigation has the potential to delay the 2024 general elections, and that will not sit well with our democracy and values as a nation. As we gather here today, the entire registration exercise has been brought to a halt. As a country, we are in the brink of a constitutional crisis. We must look at this thing seriously. As members of Bopeu, we want the registration process to commence so that we vote in October 2024. As workers, we must closely monitor the situation as it unfolds. Our members want to register for elections and exercise their right to vote. As Bopeu members, when the time comes, let us go and speak through the ballot and defend the peace and stability of our motherland. Internationalism. Comrades, a true trade union has an international outlook. The workers' struggle was never a national or sectorial imposture. The workers' struggle is international in nature and character. We remember the wise words of Karl Marx when he said, and I quote, "Workers of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains," end of quote. Karl Marx did not call upon workers of Germany or workers of Europe to unite. He emphatically made a clever call for workers of the world to unite. This is testimony to the fact that our struggle as workers is international in character, and it is for that reason that as Bopeu, we must comment on the unfolding international dynamics which has an effect on the workers around the globe. As we are aware, comrades, two major wars have erupted that have caught the attention of the entire world. Firstly, the Russia-Ukraine war rages on, and many workers and innocent civilians continue being killed. The cost of commodities have increased, and thus putting pressure on households and the ability to afford the basic commodities of life, such as grain and other essential supplies. Secondly, the Israel-Palestine war rages on as we sit here. Many workers, journalists, women and children were killed and continue to be killed in both sides. The destruction of properties and livelihoods in these wars have brought untold suffering to workers and civilians. As Bopeu, we call on the international community to be proactive to avoid these wars that bring misery, suffering, death to workers and civilians. There is no honor in war. As a peace-loving trade union, we see no value in taking sides with any country at war with another. Workers and civilians are the victims of any war, and as a trade union, we don't condone any war. We call on the international community to commit to diplomacy and international peace and order. No one profits from war besides the weapons manufacturing industries. Those are the only beneficiaries. Bopeu's reform agenda, what is to be done? Comrades and delegates, the critical question that must be answered by this CEC resembles the questions posed by the Russian revolutionary theorist, Comrade Lenin. And he asked, what is to be done? Comrades, delegates, what is to be done? This is the question that must be answered decisively by the delegates of this CEC through their resolutions and program of action. As the leadership, we take a view that Bopeu must reform and renew itself in order to strengthen its capacity as a union. We must reform Bopeu and focus on both qualitative and quantitative growth. We must invest in the training of our shop sweepers, leaders, and membership as a whole. Bopeu must be more agile, flexible, and responsive to its members' needs. We must keep contact with our members on a continuous basis. Most importantly, we must be activists and participate in the life and program of the union. Comrades, the survival of Bopeu is in our collective hands. We must therefore nurture it and jealously guard the unity and cohesion of Bopeu. Lenin said, the strengthening of the working class is organization. Organization means unity in action, to act together in practice. In conclusion, comrades, your union is more stable, united and coherent as compared to the last time we met at our last CEC. Your union continues to be the voice championing your right, your interests. Your union remains alive and kicking. We have a good story to tell. This is not to mean that we do not have challenges as a union. In order to confront our challenges, we must commit to renewal in order to strengthen our capacity to be more effective and responsive to the needs of our members. For us to strengthen our capacity, we must have a robust, frank, constructive, honest, and open discussions amongst ourselves on the way forward. As your leader, we subject ourselves to your collective wisdom and guidance. The voice of the people is the voice of God. The voice of the delegates is the voice of God. I thank you, comrades.
Viva, Comrade President, viva! Viva, Comrade President, viva! Viva, Bopeu, viva! Viva, Bopeu, viva! Thank you, Comrade President. I cannot overemphasize the fact that Ministry of Health, it must be clear and straight to the point. Your Excellency, the President has said it, this ministry seems to be a problem child. And today, we go in Apata and lay out the issues bare as they are. If it means to call a name, Your Excellency, we will call a name. Hakisan siki ba kanya singwe ha? Kana ha mo pa na ko pela. Yes, let me recognize amongst us from HRDC, Re Mishek Tafa, Bimenisa Bakawlemu. From the insurance, Insure Guard, Promotora Taha is amongst us. Thank you, comrades. NAPU President Ivan Maswao and your delegates, comrades. Thank you. And we also appreciate the presence of our media. We are live on RB2 and Maitiwa Letavele Mpona Mobiti. How was it? Look at it. Letavele Mpona Mobiti. And when you are sitting with your comrades, just tap them on the shoulder and say, look, that's the GS. Thank you. RMTV, Santuru, we bangan sa kumpino. Awa, yes, arin sepina, tabe janu, iritina mo wini. Jakarta beri, meleta mukuru, ritsene mo wini, jabuja. Sapina, mukaulim. Bopeu page, we are live, and we are also live on RD2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and delegates, invited guests across the SADC region and African continent, I have the honor to invite His Excellency the President of the Republic of Botswana, Dr. MOKGWEETSI MASISI, to the podium. Your Excellency.
continue as they prepare the microphones. The Director of Ceremonies, Mr. Tsebiso Meregi, the Minister for State, President, and also Member of Parliament for Manapula South, Honorable Governor Roy, Leader of the Opposition, the Member of Parliament for the Pico West, Honorable Itapelo Bora Bates, Mustafa Siawatu, Posirola Senate, Member Posiva, Molo Palate, Cosima Taliban. Halape District Council Chairman, Honorable Jordan Makura, and other honorable councillors here present, President of Bopeu, Your Excellency Masefo Mokwera, the Elephant Matriarch, and your Deputy, Director of PPSM, Mhiri Maro Namachola, Permanent Secretaries and Senior Government Officials, President of Kosatu, Me Zingiswa Losi, President and General Secretaries from international sister unions, Bopeu Regional Chairperson, Central East, Midwife and Head of Mukubin Clinic, Intrapo, Ramangosi Mangena, CEOs and heads of parastatals, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. I wish to start my address by congratulating the leadership of Bopeu for successfully holding the 2023 Central Executive Committee meeting. Well done. Hasibali wa khona. Angere babu. Symbolic of any progressive organization which embraces good governance, you have once again committed to demonstrate your accountability to the membership of Bopeu, and I listened to your speech with very keen interest. Please keep up this noble attribute of accountability. Allow me to make some key observations on trade unionism. Trade unions play a pivotal role of shaping the destiny of workers in general, as well as influencing public discourse or debates on national issues. This they do, for example, by continuous advocacy for a just employment relationship and fair labor practices, resulting in negotiated collective labor agreements, dignified compensation for workers, and a host of humanizing and enriching welfare provisions in the workplace. Equally well, trade unions engage in the continual prodding of government's conscience not to ignore formulating employment and public policies and programs that are aimed at redressing socio-economic inequalities in society. That is why trade unions are regarded as social partners with both national governments and employer groupings. Their investment wings economically empower the workers. In this regard, when trade unions' advocacy work is properly understood and contextualized, it will be realized that it contributes meaningfully to shaping the dynamics of national economic growth and development, insofar as these outcomes are linked to workers' morale, productivity, and opportunities for skills development in the workplace. Accordingly, the imperatives of hard work or dedication to work, played by just rules, teamwork, and an awareness of the systemic and interconnected nature of the economy, culture, politics, and the environment in pursuit of a dignified life as workers and citizens requires robust education and training in trade unionism that goes beyond immediate bread and butter issues. You have to consider the plight of the vulnerable and marginalized others in Botswana society as you make demands for a greater share of the national cake. As a union, what do you give of your knowledge, skills, expertise, time, and or wealth to local communities? This is certainly part of the union's undertaking to work for social justice and community development in collaboration with other civically minded, active and responsible citizens. Unionists ought to have a positive national consciousness, to be partners and agents of social transformation that benefits both themselves and the greatest many in society. They should weigh and balance rights and competing economic interests for desirable social futures of prosperity for all. But which I'm informed that the theme for this meeting is strengthening union capacity towards decent work and a just transition. This theme is timely and befitting in that there is a spirited global call for social partners to rethink and transform their economic relationships in order to mitigate the threats of climate change, such as heat stress for workers working in environments whose temperatures are not technologically controlled, like this one. I expect the theme speaker to elaborate more on this. Increasingly, climate change effects are viewed as a health emergency, and workers and workplaces are not insulated from them. Notably, outdoor workers are the most vulnerable to climate change impact compared to indoor workers. Undoubtedly, there is a likelihood of productivity getting diminished due to increased health ill health and fatigue that are induced by exorbitantly high temperatures and poor air quality. It is a threat to decent work conditions for the workers, in that it poses challenges of occupational health and safety. On the other hand, the challenges of high temperatures will likely raise labor and input costs arising from the need to introduce new technologies to mitigate climate change impacts on workers' ability to carry out work or job tasks. In the circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, nothing beats social dialogue to arrive at a win-win industrial relations solutions to solve the risks of occupational safety and health caused by climate change. Dear workers, just recently, a few weeks ago, during the State of the Nation address, the SONA, to the first meeting of the 5th session of the 12th Parliament on the 6th of November 2023 at 2 o'clock on the Pata. I underscored the fact that Botswana has taken certain steps to respond to the Paris Climate Change Agreement of 2015. I will therefore not repeat what I said there and urge you to familiarize yourselves with the content thereof as a committed union and its membership. I note that after realizing the urgent need for a transition to environmental sustainability in the world of work, the governing body of the International Labour Office decided at its 334th session in March 2022 to place on the agenda of the 111th session of the International Labour Conference, ILC, in June 2023, an item on a just transition to renewable energy generation. Representatives from trade unions, Business Botswana, and the government were part of the delegation that attended the aforementioned 111th session of the ILC. Since Bopeu was represented in the delegation, I guess that this is the reason you chose this theme for this year's meet. Thank you for choosing the theme, as it further challenges us to continue thinking about strategic actions that we ought to consider for policy direction to achieve our just energy transition targets, especially by 2030. I cannot overemphasize the fact that your theme resonates well with the Sustainable Development Goals, which Botswana has committed to implement. The theme squarely addresses SDGs number 8, number 10, and number 13, which deal with fostering decent work and economic growth, reducing inequalities, promoting climate action respectfully. As such, the initiatives that Botswana has embarked on to respond to the SDGs are a step in the right direction. The pursuit of a just transition means promoting a green economy in a way that is as fair and inclusive as possible to the workers, enterprises, and communities by creating decent work opportunities and leaving no one behind. In a nutshell, social inclusion and decent work for all during the envisaged transition requires that all actors in the world of work come together to devise new interventions and solutions through meaningful social dialogue. This is the negotiation of new jobs of the future and their conditions. Consequently, there can never be a just transition without workers' participation. Otherwise, we'll only be talking rhetorically about transition without the just element, the just underlying element. That is why government is committed to ensuring that there is a continued cordial relationship between itself and workers. In the same token, there can never be a just transition without mindset change, which is a trajectory that we have chosen in order to genuinely deliver our transformation agenda for Botswana, we need to reflect deeply on our value system. And when I say mindset change, it's everybody, government included. To that end, it will be remiss of me if I do not address the fundamental question of why we should care about decent work and just transition. The transition will reshape the labour market in ways that may result in new risks, let alone needs for workers. That is to say, while there may be creation of new jobs, in some cases there would be destruction of jobs or replacement of existing occupations by new ones. As a result, there will be a need for new competencies and skills for the emerging job markets. Governments should be ready to meet such trends and their impact on workers with corresponding strategic solutions and engagements with workers and employers. Ladies and gentlemen, government continues to embrace freedom of association and collective bargaining in the public service in order to promote meaningful social dialogue. A case in point is that social partners continue to dialogue on the long-awaited project of reviewing and merging the existing labour laws into the Employment and Labour Relations Bill. In the same vein, the public sector trade unions are being consulted with respect to the Public Service Act Amendment Bill 2023. These milestones epitomize our relentless efforts to progressively promulgate pieces of legislation that are aligned to future transitions and decent work. I am delighted that Bopeu has been a loyal, trustworthy, and very responsive part of this journey. I am reliably informed that through consultative meetings between government and as the employer and Bopeu, pertinent issues affecting public service employees are being satisfactorily addressed, save for the ones the General Secretary and the President highlighted. On this note, we must continue to nurture this relationship and jealously guard against anything that threatens the peaceful coexistence between trade unions and government. This is in recognition of the fact that the government and unions are inextricably linked in the planned efforts of building the kind of Botswana society that is envisaged in the National Vision 2036. It is also my knowledge that efforts are also being made to ensure that policies that are developed address inclusion of people with disabilities and women in the labour market space. Also being developed are human resources policies which have a major bearing on public service employees' conditions of service. The policies will be aligned to international labour standards. Information reaching my office indicates that the project of developing HR policies and regulations are at an advanced stage. Dear workers, while it is worth noting that by and large, the jobs that are so much linked to climate change and gas emissions are commonly found in the private sector, I commend Bopeu for having found it fit to recognize that even unions that have no direct involvement in a decarbonizing industry can take the lead in addressing just transition issues. The reason is that all of us will feel the effects, as we now do, of climate change and decarbonization. It is further worth noting that as vocational education and training is key in meeting the demand for the new jobs that may be born out of the labour market transition, government recognizes that the acquisition, updating and development of relevant skills will be the most effective way to guarantee workers' employability or to keep a job. Furthermore, the government has taken steps on local economic empowerment initiatives geared towards addressing unemployment and related social ills in our society. However, government alone will not succeed without the involvement of the private sector and other key stakeholders to the economy, notably workers themselves. Bopeu amand. Bopeu amand. My message today, not only is it that I was jealous, is that, it would not be complete without specific and particular mention of Bopeu's maturity in dealing with workers' rights. Yes, you had some measure of turbulence, but as the old Tswana adage goes, we have witnessed that. Even during challenging times, the union has always promoted the Tswana saying that Ntokolo Kiamulu, which loosely translated means dialogue is the highest and most effective form of human action for resolving conflict. And in diplomatic parlance, following the example set by the Botswana foreign policy posture, it's better to jaw than to war. You must look it up. That famous phrase was coined many years ago at a conference of a party that I seem to know in Mulipulu. I'm equally confident that as you enter into the just transition debate with all key social partners, you will steadfastly continue to embrace this culture. We therefore remain grateful to your generosity. Against this backdrop, I must mention that efficient and effective resolution of grievances and disputes is, among others, a panacea for underperformance and non-productivity in the workplace. I therefore wish to urge senior government officials in ministries and departments, particularly the Ministry of Health, to continuously follow up on all commitments that they are collectively agreed with trade unions in order to sustain industrial relations harmony, which is so desirable in a democracy such as ours. As I conclude, I wish to remind you, the esteemed Bopeu delegates, that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to a just transition. Just transition frameworks must be based on nationally defined development priorities. Botswana should take advantage of the reset agenda and the mindset change initiative and continue building on the foundation for achieving prosperity for all by the year 2036. Furthermore, by virtue of Botswana's membership to the International Labour Organization, we have an obligation to respect, to promote and recognize the fundamental principles and rights at work as espoused in the conventions that we ratified as a country. Please remember the trade union maxim that when you are united, you stand. And on the contrary, when you are divided, you fall. Allow me to take this moment to thank the labor movement for its role in the constitutional review process. Not only was one of you a member, but they actually became the deputy of the inaugural, the pioneering, comprehensive constitutional review inquiry into the Botswana Constitution. And yes, in case any might forget, it happened under my leadership. I must express optimism as the robust contributions of unions have been heard loudly and clearly. The white paper, soon to be presented to Parliament, will confirm this government's value of unions and workers' rights in the Constitution of the Republic of Botswana. Talk of mindset change. I therefore have the singular honor and pleasure to declare this 2023 Central Executive Committee meeting officially open. And as I wish you success in your deliberations, let me go back to the song that you nearly forgot about. That song became inspirational to me as I sat lonely, pondering at how I would respond on your behalf to the ominous threats when we negotiated our new deal with De Beers. And what propelled me to face them in the eye and tell them, Rebatamat. Echoing in my head and soul were the very difficult, vexing confrontations we had in 2011. When we fought, when we should not have fought. I never imagined, even in the depth of the bosom and the womb of my mother, did I think I would see and know. And so, yes, thank you, the Labour Movement of Botswana. You sang that song on behalf of every citizen. You sang that song with passion and vigor. But that song has a meaning that resonates and reflects deeply in us. Repatema di mogorona. Road. Di diremat. Ke you. Nati bigilini. Ona ngo tso yang kayo. 10 billion. Wait. Haleka keta kae ni. Dai po. Ke beneficiation. Kana beneficiation means adding value. In the agreement in yang source. In everything. Nerikinwe. Rikinwe, no rikine have a sign of Rikinwe. Or is sike vera lora or regalo better them to add value to them. I unlocked it. It was a very lonely exercise because almost everybody who pretended to know anything about that was highly critical. But we are a Kizorgiran to send a heart. There are Hamala ones who are going to be Harry Bona, Sudila, Linyana, Yama, Jura, Kai, Hora, Lukuba, Horandi. Because this is a national issue. It's not to do with any political party that's in power. It's not to do with any individual who is the president. It's a national question. Rebecca mad. In Rawawo, Abaita, I'm very well leave. Abaita, Ababona, they would present. Oh, Hochetamelo, Tirello, or Componi, Potana, Nature, HBA, or Regadia, but Tula le onnen to Amarakanati. Le compone del Sally, one of our Patala. ile go reitsa re le hatsi re le tshaba re le batho gore re ka gatela pele in the beneficiation story and the acquisition of intellectual capital, industrial capital, as a sovereign nation state. Me go dira dikomponi nya tse botshelo ba tsone re botshegetseng ya ka tlhanyana ya ke ka ba bolela ba nkopise gore ke tla ba kgaolela ke eta lena ke tla ba bona ba wela ka motho bodika ba tla duela go tswana gore re nne ba bo ha wa he e re mo re sena go kopanya re mo maganya ya ka go mo maganya ka mmopa HB Lukara gore tswele mera go ira gape tse di hitang tseo ka ODC hape malitsinka ya e be go tlhoga yo go go lwantswa gore Russia o rekisetsa ditemane tsa ona gore a lwantse Ukraine ya no ha bontse jalo a temane tsotlhe tse le gore di a go matsing a G7 di go Antwerp le tsone ko di hite di tempele gore tse ha di tswe ko Russia e be ka resetswa G7 maloba mabai now in a gilibahande mo iteli pilo Belgium ko moragere high court kasisu ela ndero na high court hai ka gara sa go tsa bupuso ya tsa bupuso wana go isa kwa entwe kana hai lo kana la re tsepa astem peseo se laola ke botswana ke rona nta bushanga so ni ke bua ya go gore maikaelelo a si kika a hela maiteko ke go khotopanya gore puso ya Botswana e se ke be a tsena in this just mineral transition of beneficiation ke ko madi a leng teng ntse re rekisa hela ditemane tse di bogono di thatsitswe hela sentse di thatsenya di sa re thadi di sa tlodiwa letsoku di sa nkadi di sa betwa ha o tsape o tekiswa tsone di bogono bua tsa le hatselotlhe ntso Botswana ile the highest biggest producer of diamonds by value, the second by volume. The total business size is $15 billion. Not about $7 billion here. See, it's also right to move. Do it at Jamala, and you're very proud. Many do not live out. Can I walk on a GBV? Me hautsa bukit ba kgwebo ya ditemane le hatselotlhe o tsa ditemane tsotlhe le hatse tsone tsoko go $15 billion sena ha di sena gore ke hadio di tsetswa le tsoko di betwa dira kgwebo ya madi ya kana ka $100 billion ya no boneba ne ba re tumele era go bi ikobele ko bokgobeng bana le barutwetsi ba bone ba dudwetsi ba bone ba etsena ba bone mo ga ile bone ha o bona ba bereki ba Botswana ba sa bone madiana ke ntoi ya no opela ma union le ba ta madi le nna ke a le joane ke a opela ka re ba ta madi hala la o pe hala la.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic. We have a token of appreciation, Your Excellency, which shall be presented to you by Comrade President. Viva Comrade President, viva! Viva His Excellency, viva! Viva His Excellency, viva! Thank you very much, Your Excellency the President to the Republic, for the wise words. But I just wish to note very important from your speech, Your Excellency. Thank you, comrades. Just, Your Excellency, one important issue that you mentioned from your speech about our democratic principles as a nation. We invite comrades from different countries of SADC, and these comrades are not enjoying what we are enjoying in this republic as journalists. In their countries, they have been purged, they have been persecuted, but it is sad for them to come here and see the joy that we share with you now that they can't experience in their countries. We implore you, Your Excellency the President, on the sidelines. This is one area that we should now export as a country, our democratic principle. We're talking about something. We're talking about Swaziland. The comrades are here, and please, Your Excellency, thank you. Eswatini, thank you, Your Excellency. Yes. I've been informed that His Excellency has other engagements in Kasane, and he would like to be excused to proceed. And may we please allow His Excellency Borakai Melela, and then we'll come back to the next speaker. Thank you.
Africa's Agenda 2063 envisions bold aspirations for the continent, underpinned by inclusive growth and development, seamless integrated trade and commerce, and competitiveness, which elevates the continent's standing on the global stage.